At the time in G2, we probably had the most talented team we could ever have assembled in the French scene, but people didn't work well together. We lacked a lot of things overall, and that's why we didn't create an era. I think the direction we're taking now is a good one. We're trying to be as good as we can, and I think that started with being more structured, being good individually, and not getting read by the other team. Having watched French Counter-Strike for years upon years, I'll freely admit that I was skeptical of this Vitality project well into 2019, with history teaching me that stubborn philosophies alongside questionable work ethics plagued the scene. However, through claiming titles in attendance of CS Summit and the ECS Season 7 finals, Vitality have asserted themselves as a force to be reckoned with. Today we'll be tackling whether the Frenchmen can retain their championship contending form, and aiding us in this task will be some quotes from seasoned rifler apEX. With good reason, calling on the terrorist side receives a considerable amount of attention from the community. Neglected though is the impact of team-wide decisions on the counter-terrorist side, and watching this overview we can see that Vitality have sent 4 players towards the mid and long areas. MBK, being the solo player on B, drops his smoke early to deter any terrorist aggression, and now we'll see the risk that comes in tandem with a call like this on the CT side of Overpass. As Liquid's execute comes in, MBK does his best to force a fight towards Monster before getting pinched, but unfortunately will go down without a kill. Due to the long rotation time having been pushed up on A, the other 4 Vitality players are isolated out of the site, and the retake quickly goes south for the French side. Moving into the following round, keep in mind the overall call that played a sizable role in determining the previous round. As we can see, Vitality's decision is to play out the same round again, and pausing for a moment, let's talk through the specifics of this setup. Firstly, apEX is connector, and I can imagine for the most part he's playing off sound. ZywOo is scoping towards these stairs from behind the mid smoke and can pivot easily into holding playground. Alex is playing an off angle, and notably this spot cannot be seen from the playground exit. And finally, RPK is towards long, where he'll push up a little further and play off the contact of his teammates. On the flip side, Team Liquid have 2 players going fast through playground and making plenty of noise in the process. Watching this play out, we can see that ZywOo and RPK swing out and take the fight at the same time, resulting in a 2-for-1 trade in Vitality's favour. Knowing there are at least 3 players pushed up on A, Liquid make the great decision to move quickly out of Monster and onto B. As we can see, MBK, who's still solo on the site, plays around his short smoke, and falling through the smoke, MBK kills Stewie. ZywOo rotating in finds another onto Naf and leaves Nitro in an impossible position for Team Liquid. Talking over the next round, Vitality for the 3rd successive time calls 4 towards A, and in a true moment of deja vu, Liquid again goes fast through playgrounds, with it panning out even worse for them on this occasion. I think we outplayed them in many ways during CS Summit. They even said in terms of our game plan, strategy, and even individually, we were better than they were at this tournament. This trio of consecutive calls showcased Vitality's boldness to take risks with setups when they have a particular read in mind, and entering this round of the Frenchmen were toying with Liquid in the mind games department. Team play and communication are integral to success on the CT side, and the following sequence will showcase these traits for the French team. Watching on board with ZywOo and MBK, note that Vitality have 3 players on the A site, and the rotator in apEX is going to smoke off bathrooms. With his flank now covered, ZywOo walks into this aggressive angle, and meanwhile MBK pushed up in bathrooms as Liquid slowly surrounding him. After backing into this corner, MBK finds the opening kill onto Nitro. ZywOo smokes for apEX close to Vida, and silences Elige, getting aggressive looking for a reply. Jumping back a few seconds, let's have a look at what's happening over on the B site. Alex and RPK are sat in what I like to call an org setup, and the reason I use this term is because if you played these spots with M4s, you're just asking to become an entry kill. More importantly, notice that Alex and RPK both have smokes with around 50 seconds left, and now they move into a double monster setup. Off the back of this nice flash from Alex, RPK swings out, and after clearing the pipe he drops his smoke. This setup change is a great decision from Vitality because they have 2 smokes to play around, and noting the clock, Liquid would have to commit through a smoke should they want to hit B late via Monster. I remember when our coach Remy joined in December 2018 and listened to the team before saying, "Your communication, no way it cannot be like that, it's just so bad." This was the truth, and we're trying to communicate much better than we used to. Watching the round play out again from an overview takes stock of how great their communication was during this chain of proactive decisions across a short period of time. It's rounds like these that make CS a challenge to analyse, because there's just so much to keep track of on both bomb sites, and although the frag reels and clinical executes see most of the limelight and Counter-Strike content, it's making timely, proactive and reactive moves off the back of communication and teamwork that wins squads tournaments. Moving on to some Terra's play from Vitality, following MBK we can see that with some flashes he moves very quickly from playgrounds into clearing mid, and meanwhile towards Monster the Frenchmen are moving into their early executes with the other 4 players. As the flashes come in, ZywOo secures 2 significant entries before meeting an amusing demise at the hands of a teammate. At first glance some viewers may oversimplify this round, thinking the plan from Vitality was to just send ZywOo in first, hope for some sick entries, and when he comes good, they all spend the freeze time between rounds chanting "Let's go Team ZywOo," bowing down to their saviour as they pray for more headshots in matches to come. Now, as much as ZywOo would make a great centrepiece for some cult of highlight frags, back in reality, many components go into pulling off a round like this. Evaluating the strategy again with some more perspective, we can see that firstly apEX smokes bathrooms from T spawn, Alex goes with MBK and smokes out the flames on stairs, Molly's birthday, and throws some flashes. On these flashes MBK moves alone and quite aggressively into taking mid control, and the player to focus on is Naf, who rotates away from B at the worst possible time. This means as Vitality collapse onto the site, Liquid only have 2 players in defense, and also showcased here is the risk of playing double monster setups without the pipe smoked off, since many of these spots in these setups are easily caught with flashes. Switching up the backdrop, let's delve into a couple rounds from the Frenchmen on Mirage. Now during this game thus far, Vitality won the pistol, and the following anti-ecos are coming into this third bonus round, 3 SMGs are still in the mix. Vitality opened up by throwing 2 smokes onto B from T spawn, one landing on shorts and the other towards the back of the site. Currently Alex is towards ramp, ZywOo and MBK are moving through underpass, whilst the remaining 2 players are throwing another pair of smokes onto B. As the second volley of smokes bloom, ZywOo is boosted into window, and the call from Vitality is to move quickly into a connector split. After taking a few seconds to regroup, Alex moves to within striking distance towards ramp, and on the flashes MBK and apEX come up connector, RPK catches Breeze swinging short, and eventually they'll trade themselves onto the site, culminating in a tense 2v2 afterplant. A great piece of team play between ZywOo and MBK would leave Cirque in this impossible position and seal the deal for the Frenchmen. The strategy from Vitality during this round was a duo of fakes onto B. The first pulled out some counter nades plus rotations from the CTs, and from NRG's perspective it's extremely hard to read that the second set of smokes onto B was indeed a hoax. The main aim of these fakes was to draw the window and short players into taking eyes off mid, while ZywOo gets boosted into his forward spot in window, from which he can slow down rotations and help clear jungle, making a connector split harder to deal with for the defensive side. One aspect of Counter-Strike that is difficult to pick up on and convey to your average Joe viewer is readability, and as an extension, how you might go about using utility, pressure and even previous rounds to steer your opponents towards an incorrect read. This round kicked off in a fairly standard fashion as the Frenchmen went for some mid control with 2 out top mid and 1 through underpass. Talking through the half so far, Vitality have ran a few connector splits, including the bonus round we looked at earlier on, and this precedent was likely a factor in their next call. After re-smoking window and top connector, Alex moved in to take the control, and meanwhile 3 players are grouping up towards B. After smoking deep jungle, MBK flashes for Alex come out, and he gets a massive entry onto Ethan before being traded. Shifting back towards B, we can see the 3 Vitality players begin contacting in, Zywoo finds Tarek, and NRG are now in a terrible position to attempt a retake. Despite the outcome, from NRG's perspective, they made some very reasonable decisions. Notice that Breezy spent the majority of the round playing around ladder room, which meant Tarek was solo on the B site itself, and as we discussed earlier, Vitality had already ran some successful connector splits, meaning that once they'd shown the jungle smoke and Alex got the entry onto A, it becomes almost the correct decision for NRG to rotate over. There's been a lot of work from Alex and Remy into preparing for our games and trying to be unpredictable. I think you need to prepare with being hard to read in mind. When they watch your demos, they can't say something is happening here, so they are going there. And certainly this round was a good example of this preparation towards staying unpredictable. Looking back at the question of whether Vitality are an elite level team, let's quickly nail down my definition of elite level. For me, a team is of this caliber if they are in the conversation to win any tournament they enter, and this tends to be around the top 3 to 4 teams in the world. As of this moment, I think Vitality are right on the verge of being an elite team. On the CT side, their play has been very impressive, and in most games I've watched, their communication looks great. My hesitations on the defensive side arise due to some comments from apEX surrounding inconsistencies in their communication, saying it's still a work in progress. Over on the terror side, this is where I see a distinction between Vitality and the Astralises, Liquids and Ences of the world. Astralis and Ents can have a lot of game plans. If they play one team with a certain style, they won't play the same in the next game because people will try to counter them. They are thinking about this and just doing something else. This is what we need in the team, learning how to play slowly, fast, in between, stacked across the whole map, and this is what we're trying to do. With this statement, apEX indicates that he sees Astralis and Ents as more complete teams on the terror side, and more importantly, through preparation before games and calling within matches, they have a very good sense of which style to employ against certain teams and during each situation. Now, in defense of Alex and Remy, this is one of the hardest areas to get right in modern Counter-Strike, and with time they should only improve in this respect. Some fans think you need all the best players in your team to compete, but I think you need the right people in the right moment playing well together, and that is what we're trying to do. This is the most I've ever enjoyed playing with a French team because we are all hard workers and we're trying to get better every day. The coach, the manager, the players, everyone has the same attitude, and that's why I think we're now contenders for titles. Anyway guys, that is everything for this video. Thanks to apEX for the interview, and that will be linked below if you'd like to see more of his thoughts. What do you guys think about Vitality? Can they win ESL 1 Cologne? Comment below with your views, and if you enjoyed that one, why don't you hit that like button, get subscribed, follow me on Twitter, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.